Wow. Okay. So a lot of you are not very familiar with it at all. All right. Very interesting. Okay. So the DMI slash ADX. All right. The DMI slash ADX. All right. So the DMI slash ADX. All right. Now, I will give you guys one guess. All right. I'll give you guys one guess and we'll see if the chat box can get this. Does anybody remember the name of the person that created the DMI slash ADX? We talked about it last week when we were looking at one of the other indicators. Do you guys remember the name of that person? Ah, there it is. Andy Man. Andy Man was the first one I saw with it. So, folks, J. Wells Wilder, the same man that created the RSI indicator, is also the creator of the DMI slash ADX indicator. All right. So that's why you'll see a lot of traders use the DMIs in combination with the RSI. Because the same person that created the RSI is the same person that has created the indicator that you see on your screens in front of you. All right. Now, what is so special about this particular indicator? First and foremost, I'm going to turn off the DMIs. Okay? And that is going to leave us with what is known as the ADX indicator. Okay? Now, the ADX indicator is 1/2 of the DMI slash ADX indicator. And what the ADX shows you is trend strength. All right? That's what this line that you guys see on the charts right now, this is referred to as the ADX, or average directional movement. All right? And this part of the indicator right here shows you trend strength displayed on its own indicator and chart. Now, how can you identify when the trend is strong versus when the trend is weak? Well, you guys can see that on my indicator that I've created on here, the ADX actually changes colors when it goes above or below certain levels. So, for all of you guys listening, this is going to be worth writing down. Every time that the ADX goes below 20 on this particular indicator, it goes from 0 all the way to 100 and above, but it'll never go that high. This indicator basically reads 0 to 100. Right? Very similar to how the RSI is calculated. This shows 0 to 100. And so when this indicator goes above or below 20, it shows another sign or signal of strength. So when we see the ADX underneath 20, you guys can see that the indicator shifts to a light blue color. That light blue shift in color is trying to tell you that the trend strength is very weak. So if I go through and mark with vertical lines here, just on, let's just say this to here, and this to here, and then let's do this. If we look at the spaces on the chart between those white trend lines, you will see that price doesn't typically do very much. You'll notice that if we go from this white line to the conclusion of this white line, price only moved 2% on waste management. If you go from this white line to this white line, price only moved 4.8%. And if we go to this most recent example, you'll see that price almost didn't move fucking at all. Only 1%. So when you see the ADX indicator underneath 20, it is trying to signal to you that there is no strength of the current trend taking place. Now, let me ask this question for you guys listening. Is there another indicator that comes to mind when you hear me speak about this? Is there another indicator in your guys' minds that sounds like it does something very similar to what the ADX does? Not the RSI, not the RSI, and not the MACD. Not quite, guys. Think of... somebody got it. Someone got it. I see one person's got it so far. Let's see. Can we get a sec? I see a second person. Oh, I see a third, a fourth, and a fifth. Oh, I'm beginning to see those answers. I'm beginning to see the right answer. For those of you that answered Bollinger Bands, I would tend to agree with you. Because here's something that you'll notice. If I take those same white trend lines at the time when waste management was below 20 on the ADX, all right? And then I open up the Bollinger Bands, you guys will notice that in this subsection of price action, look at how tight those Bollinger Bands were. Right? Look at how tight those Bollinger Bands were, signaling that there was going to be an explosive move taking place. And it was also telling you that the strength of whatever was currently happening in terms of the trending move was not very strong, given that those Bollinger Bands were very tightly packed together. When the Bollinger Bands are tight packly together, you guys know that that means that the standard deviation of move on the high side and the standard deviation of the move on the low side are very, very, very tight, meaning that price doesn't typically move very much. Well, the same thing can be said about the ADX indicator. When you see this thing underneath 20, it is trying to suggest to you that volatility has exited the chat. That's a really important note for you guys to write down. When the ADX is underneath 20, it is trying to tell you that volatility has exited the chat. And interestingly enough, it also just so happens to align with how the Bollinger Bands look at this same moment in time. Isn't that interesting? Now, let's go to the next half of the question. When the ADX is between 20 and 25, what that is trying to tell you is that volatility and that the trend is beginning to show the beginning signs of strength. Whether it's in a bearish downtrend or in a bullish uptrend, the ADX does not care. The ADX does not care. The ADX only cares about the strength of the trend currently taking place. So let me ask you guys here, right? Let me ask you guys here, in this circled zone, when you saw the ADX continue to stay above 25, what do you think happened within this range of price action? So I'll just put vertical lines on here again. What do you guys think happened in between those white lines to the trend or the trending move? Now, you guys haven't seen the chart, so you don't know if it's up or down. So let's just assume we don't care if it's up or down. So what do you guys think? Let's assume that the trend is up. So what do you think happened with price in between that area of both those white vertical lines? Some of you guys are saying volatility. Beautiful answers. Some of you guys are saying reversals. Some of you guys are saying big up moves. Some saying flat. Some saying sideways. I would say to you, without having looked at this, that if this were an uptrending move, right? I'm just going to make an assumption. If this were an uptrending move and the ADX was staying in this range, it's telling me that the volatility on that upside move remains really high and is beginning to show a strength of that trending move. So if this is an upside move, my expectation is that in between those white lines, you will see big candles, could be up and down, but you will see big candles. And because this is signaling that the trend strength is still relatively strong, it's probably going to be big moves on the high side if this is an uptrending move. So let's open it. We open this up and look at that, folks. Look at those big ass candles that happened on waste management within this section. First of all, from the top to the bottom, you made a 7% move up to the down. And then following that, you then made a 15% move to the upside. On top of that 15% move to the upside, look at the size of some of these candles. That's a 6% candle. That's a, well, it says 1.7. That's surprising. I thought that'd be more than that. But these are volatile candles. Given if you just look back at the prior range of price and what price was doing, look at all this dog shit. Look at all this dog shit. And then look at what happens once the ADX tries to confirm for you that the strength of trend is still very much alive and well. Well, then you get bigger, more volatile candles. And then it begins to make a move to the upside. Now, let's go to the next part of the ADX. When the ADX rises above 25, it is trying to tell you that the strength of that trend is very strong. And if you're trading an uptrend, in which we identified this here, if you're trading an uptrend and that ADX rises above 25 and stays above 25, it is telling you that the strength of that trending move is very good. And then look at what precedes it. Look at what happens when the ADX breaks above 25 here. Look how it stays above it. And then look how it rises exponentially. And in that rise exponentially, look at how much price moves. 22%. So this DMI / ADX indicator, the ADX half of the indicator, is trying to show you when the trend is favorable versus when the trend is wishy-washy. So does that make sense, chat? Are you guys with me on that one? Is that good? You guys understand how the ADX works in a sense? Just give me a bunch of GGs or TGs or whatever if you guys think that that's useful. Fast Eddie! Guys, he's made it! He's here! He accepted the friend request! Yeah, buddy! We did it! It's Fast Eddie! Yeah, buddy! Let's go! Yeah! Fuck yeah, man. We've been waiting forever for this motherfucker. Let's go, man. All right, so it sounds like a lot of you guys understand the ADX. Let me ask the chat box really quick. Does anybody have any questions so far regarding the ADX? And at the end of this video, I'm going to put this in a way that's going to make a lot of sense for you guys. Also, Mr. Fusion also accepted my friend request, so we've also got him in there now, folks. Okay, so a couple of you guys are asking where to find the DMI ADX indicator. This one right here is actually one that I've created. Okay, but fortunately, there is another one that I have here. Let me open this up for you guys. So this one right here by Crypto Adrian. So there's this one here from Crypto Adrian. I'm going to post that in the chat box for you guys. I'll post it in the chat box there for you guys. And yes, this video is being recorded and it will be on Discord later. Yes. Bored at work. That is a fantastic question, My friend, that is a fucking fantastic question. Very great question. So our guy right here, Bored at Work, says, does the valley at the bottom signify the end of a trend, i.e. a reversal? I wouldn't necessarily think of it as a reversal, but I would certainly agree with you that when the ADX goes underneath 20, it is signaling the end of that trending move taking place. So we can see in this range right here, right? So from here to here, we can see that the ADX was rising really high, telling us that the strength of that downtrending move was really strong. And once it started to go underneath 20, once it started to go underneath 20, that is when it signaled the end of that trending move. And then you can see that everything started to pick back up, and we're going to start adding in the DMIs here as well, okay? We're going to start adding in the DMIs as well for you guys to add another layer of context to this indicator. But I would certainly agree with you that when we see the ADX fall below 20, it is typically a signal that the end of that trending move is taking place. So that's a great question. Would I mind posting my settings? I don't think so. So there's my settings for you guys. All right. So, let's see. High Chew Infusion, I haven't yet, no. Okay, so here's what we're going to do next, all right, folks? Here's what we're going to do next. All right, here's what we're going to do next. So now that you guys have a reasonable understanding of the ADX, now we're going to add in the DMIs. Okay, now we're going to add in the DMIs. So, I'm going to hide the ADX for now, okay? And we'll throw this all together in just a minute. So, now on your guys' screens, you see a red negative DMI, and you see a yellow positive DMI, okay? That's how I've color coordinated my stuff. So, positive DMI, negative DMI. Those are the color coordinations that I've done for those, all right? Now, with regards to the DMIs are calculated via price. Okay? These DMIs are calculated via price moving up and down. And it's a very complex calculation. So I don't want you guys to get caught up in the calculation. What I want you guys to remember is that the DMIs are actually calculated, and so is the ADX, with a 14 look back period. Does anybody else know what other indicator has a 14 period look back? Does anybody know of another indicator with a 14 period look back? Let's see if chat can get this one quickly. Ha ha ha! Look at that. Excellent chat. So yes, the RSI. The RSI has a 14 look back period. So very well done. Isn't it interesting that the creator of the RSI is also the creator of the DMI ADX, which uses the same look back period? Isn't that interesting, chat? All right, so these are the DMIs. And these are very similar to the RSI. You guys can kind of think of it like the RSI, but instead of only getting one line on the RSI, you get two with the DMIs. One specifically shows negative, and one specifically shows positive. So let me ask the chat box here quickly. If you see the positive DMI above the negative, do you think that that means that price went higher? Or do you think that means price went lower? What do you guys think? So like in this example right here, chat, do you think that Waste Management went up or down with the DMI positives being above 25 and well above the negative DMI? Do you think price went higher or lower? All right. Sounds like a lot of people are saying up. So let's look at the chart. And look at that, folks. You guys are bang on the money. Look at that. The DMI positive way above 25. And look at it just fly, fly, fly. Right? So great job, chat. Good job. Now, let me ask you guys again. Right? Let me ask you guys again. In this circled area here, do you think price flew or do you think price died? With the DMI negative now being above 25 and well above the DMI positive, do you think price went down or do you think price went up? Okay, good. A lot of you guys are saying down. Fantastic. Open up the chart. Look at that, folks. You've once again fucking nailed it. Look at that, chat. You fucking nailed it once again. You fucking geniuses. Look at, right? When the DMI negative crossed the DMI positive right here, and then the DMI negative rose above 25, look at the negative moves that we're seeing on waste management. Right? So when you see the DMIs, whichever one is on the high side of the other one, that typically shows which party is in control, whether it's the Bulls or whether it's the Bears. That's what the DMIs do a job at, is to try and show you who has taken control, right? Now, here is where things are going to start getting a little bit complex and complicated. Yes, Scavra, excellent, well said. He said, so the DMI gives you direction and the ADX gives you the trend strength. Exactly. You've got it bang on the money, my friend. Now, here's where things are going to start getting a little complex. Okay, and I'm gonna start fucking with you guys a little bit, and it's not on purpose. It's to try and share something with you, okay? Now, let me just open this up and see. Okay, perfect. This is great. Perfect example. Now, let me ask you guys. What is this that I'm circling on the chart? What are those three circles a representation of, folks? What are those three circles a representation of? Beautiful, beautiful guitar, beautiful Ricky Bobby, beautiful MC, beautiful Kane. Oh, Kyle. Interesting. Great answers, chat. So the answer that I was looking for is lower highs. All right, lower highs. Now, if we open up price action, where price was at the same time each one of those peaks was made, chat, what is this that I have circled on price action? What is this that I've circled on price action right there? What is that? What is this called right here? Yes, chat. Yes, chat. Very good. Very good. Yes. Higher highs. Higher highs. That's exactly right. But when we were just looking at the ADX, aren't these lower highs? Would you agree with me, chat, that the DMI was printing lower highs while price printed higher highs? Would you agree with me, chat? And what do we often refer to that as? What do we often refer to that as, chat? What is that often referred to as? What would you guys call that? Very good, chat. Very good. That is what we would call bearish divergence. Because the indicator makes 3 consecutive lower highs, while price action makes 3 consecutive higher highs. And those touches of bearish divergence led to a reversal on price action, where the DMI negative then crossed above the DMI positive on that vertical line, and waste management made a 4.5% move to the downside. Now, let's also look at it from a bearish perspective. All right, let's look at this from a bearish perspective. Okay, so let's look over here. Let's start with, no, I guess this might not be the best stock to do this on. All right, we'll do it here. All right, chat, what is this that I have circled on price action? What have I circled on price action? Forget the indicator for a second. What have I circled on price action with these 3 green circles? Lower lows. Excellent. Well done, chat. Yes, lower lows. Okay? Now, when I circle the DMI negative, what are these 3 circles? What are those 3 circles, chat? Forget about divergence. Forget about price action. What are those things on the DMI that I've circled in green? Exactly. Lower lows. Well done, chat. Very well done. Those are 3 consecutive lower lows. And price has made 3 consecutive lower lows. But that's not how this indicator functions. Because the DMI is trying to show you when there are strength in the moves that are taking place. So when this thing is making lower lows, shouldn't the negative DMI be going higher than the prior high, signaling that each move is consecutively a lower low, signaling that there is a strength behind each one of these lows that are being made? And so this is why the DMI / ADX can get a little bit complicated, because people would look at this and they'll say, well, those are 3 lower lows. And so that's exactly what happened with price. But the actual truth in the matter is that these were 3 lower lows, which should have been 3 higher highs, because it is trying to tell you, right? It is trying to show you that price is making lower lows, but there is divergence formed on the DMI right here with 3 touches of said divergence. Now, not only that, you actually printed a 4th one, right? You actually arguably printed a 4th one, right? Because this was supposed to be the lowest low. And you can see that signified by the DMI negative being as high as it was, right? And so that should have eliminated all of the bearish divergence. But here's where we're going to start throwing in the ADX. Okay, here's where we're going to start throwing in the ADX. You guys will notice that on that 3rd lower low, that the ADX actually began to peak and turn over. And when that began to turn over, it was signaling that there was a lot of hesitation and a lot of unknownness that was happening on price action in this moment. And then with this lower low, the DMI confirmed that it was a lower low with no bearish divergence, but the ADX failed to break above the prior high that we were at when we were going lower. Now, that is not bearish divergence, but what it is telling you is that there is a weakening of that trend, right? Because this is what that indicator does best. The ADX is what tells you about trend strength. And if the ADX fails to rise higher while price makes a lower low, it is trying to signal to you that there is a weakening of trend strength. Now, just because the ADX rose above 25 doesn't inherently mean that this thing was just going to slam to the ground. We had to put it into the context of this larger downtrending move. And we can see that the difference from this high here to this high here is lower. And so you are seeing a weakening of that trend strength. And then you guys can see as we move over, right, that the ADX completely dropped underneath 20. And it signaled that by shifting colors to that lighter shade of blue. And then in between that move happening, what happened right here, chat? What happened right here on that vertical line between the DMIs? What happened between the DMIs? All right. Jay Dunlop is going to be the only one commenting, I guess. So Jay Dunlop said they crossed. And Jay Dunlop, you're bang on the money. The DMI positive crossed above the DMI negative. And then as that DMI positive crossed, it then broke above 25 right here. And when it broke above 25, chat, what also happened to the ADX? What happened to the ADX at the same time that the DMI positive crossed above 25? Yes, exactly. It broke above 20. And it started to signal to us that there was some trend strength beginning to show up. And then it rose above 25. And look at what happened to price once you rose above 25, chat. Look at what happened to price once you rose above 25. Look at that. Now, let me ask the chat really quickly. When the ADX rose above 25 and the DMI positive crossed the DMI negative, did the DMI positive ever break below the DMI negative? Yes or no? During that white trend line to this white trend line here. Oops. Did the DMI positive ever break below the DMI negative? Yes or no, chat? Exactly. You're exactly correct. It never did. Now, actually, it did right here. I should have paid more attention. It actually did right here, but that's okay. It never, in between those two white trend lines, it never broke below the negative DMI. And beyond the fact that it never broke below the negative DMI, chat, where was the ADX the entire time? Where was the ADX the entire time of that whole move? Bingo, chat. Fucking bingo. The ADX was soaring like a fucking eagle. Signaling to me what, chat? What is the ADX being as high as it was? What was that signaling to me in that moment? What was its... Yes, Chan. Yes, Chan. Yes, Guitar. Yes, Board. Yes, Jacob. Yes, Patient. Yes, Varsity. Yes, Soldier. Yes, Daddy-O. Yes, everybody. Yes. Strength of trend. Yes. So this indicator right here, when used correctly in combination with things such as the RSI, you can find yourself making some very significant and really great trades, right? Now let's throw in one more piece of technical analysis on this particular chart, and then I'm going to give you guys a fun little example on the ADX DMI, all right? Where was the RSI in between both of those white trend lines the whole time? What did the RSI not break in between both of those white trend lines, folks? What did the RSI not break? Yes, Chad! Yes. The RSI never once went below the center line the entire time that the ADX was trying to say, hey, bro, we're going to the moon, man. We're going to the moon, bro. And then the RSI was like, okay, bro, let's go to the moon, bro. And never once even sniffed the center line. Never once did it even sniff the center line. It stayed above it the entire time. And when the RSI stays above the center line, chat, what do we consider that? When the RSI stays above the center line, what do we typically call that? Yes. 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 Yes, chat. Fucking A. We call that bullish. When you stay above the upper half of the RSI, we are considering that the bullish half of the RSI. So you stayed in the bullish half of the RSI the same time that your DMI positive broke above 25, at the same time that your ADX broke above 25. That is signaling to you nothing but bullishness. Nothing but bullishness. So, this is not the end of the lesson. I just want to ask you guys, does the DMI and the ADX start to make a little bit more sense now? Does this indicator make a little bit more sense to you, chat? Yay or nay? All right, now, just a quick little fun thing here. Over to GameStop quickly. So chat, looking at GameStop using the ADX DMI indicator, what happened right here on that white vertical line? What happened on that white vertical line on the ADX/DMI? More specifically, I'm looking at what happened with the DMIs. What happened to the DMIs on that white vertical line? All right, a good little bunch of answers. That's great. DMI positive cross, great. Above 20, great answer. So I'm loving both of those answers. You're exactly right. Now, what happened right here, chat? What happened on this second vertical line right here? What happened on that second vertical line for GME? What happened right there? There's a couple things that happened. Ooh, I like that word, confirmation. That's a good one. I like that one. Cross into a reversal, very nice. ADX starts to rise, beautiful. Bull stepped in, I'll roll with that. Bounce off the center, nice answer. ADX cross above 20, great answer. Positive DMI goes up, big, great answer. Yes, chat, beautiful. Beautiful fucking answers, chat. Great answers. Your DMI positive stayed above the DMI negative, and your ADX then rose above 25, signaling what, chat? Signaling what? Boom! 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 Signaling a strong, powerful move was about to take place. And chat, look at what happened. Look at what happened. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say 424% is probably a pretty good fucking move. Now, here's where I'm going to add in one more layer, all right? We're looking at the RSI. What happened to the RSI at the same time that the DMIs broke out and the ADX broke out? What happened to the RSI at that same moment in time? Yes, Brandon. Yes, 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 yes. Yes! You crossed above the center line after spending weeks underneath it. Weeks underneath the center line, and then you broke through it at the same time that the DMI positive was like, breakout. And then the ADX was like, I got you, bro. Full steam ahead. And this is how you can use a multitude of indicators in combination with one another to build out these theses. Okay? Now, let me ask the chat box on the daily time frame on GME. Now, I don't want to turn this into a GME discussion, but let me just ask the chat box here really quick. Actually, here's a quick little tip for you guys. Here's a quick little tip. Anytime on any chart. Okay, let me make sure I say that loud and clear enough for every single one of you guys listening. Any time that you see the DMIs break above 50, it means that that trending move is getting eerily close to ending. And more specifically, when you see the ADX rise above 50, that typically means that the end of that move is very close to taking place. You will see if I zoom out, there are very few instances in which GME on the daily had its ADX and its DMIs both break 50. In fact, the last time that happened was right here. And I don't have to be the first one to show you that that basically marked the top of the sneeze before a multi-year retracement. Now, I'm not saying that that's happening with GME. I'm not saying that there's going to be a multi-year retracement. But chat, what happened right here? What happened on this? Oops, I put a horizontal one. I didn't mean to do that. What happened right here, chat? Fuck, I did it again. What happened right there where that white vertical line is? Let's make it orange so everybody can see it. What happened on that orange vertical line? Well, your ADX basically crossed above 50 and your DMI was also above 50. Well, Jackie, why did you tell us to take profit? Because the indicators fucking said so. Because the DMI, the first time back here, rose above 50. Look at what happened to price. It stabilized for fucking 4 days. And then look at what happened the next time it rose above it. Price peaked out and then had a huge retracement. And then look at what happened right here. It rose above 50 again. And then it had a big retracement again. So 50 on the DMI/ADX indicator can typically be a signal of that stock or that trending move that you were being a part of or taking place with. A rise above 50 can generally signal that the end of that trending move is coming. Okay? So does that, and to your question, Brandon B., all indicators have more reliability on large time frames. All indicators have more reliability the higher the time frame that you are on. Is the Jackie indicator based off of this indicator? Shh! Shut up! So let me ask the chat box. Chat, does that make sense? Does that make sense, chat? Are you with me? Now, I'm going to finish this lesson off by giving you guys a little bit of a story about the DMI's ADX. And this is how I learned how to trade this indicator. Okay, this is how I learned how to trade this indicator. So we're going to pick another random stock. What's V? What's a V stock? Yeah, let's do Visa. That's a good one. All right. And we'll do this little range of price action right here. All right. So you guys have heard me talk about this before. You guys have heard me explain it and describe it like this before. How many of you guys drink coffee? Or how many of you guys drink warm beverages? Tell me in the chat box. I'm being dead serious. How many of you guys drink coffee or hot beverages? Okay, lots of people. This is going to be a great example for all of you guys. So I want every single one of you to listen to this carefully. Okay, I want all of you guys to listen to me very carefully right now. Okay, I want all of you guys to listen to me as carefully as you can, because I'm going to blow your fucking minds with this description on the ADX DMI. Okay, I'm actually going to fuck you up. Now, when the ADX, now I'm just going to hide the DMIs because we don't need them right now. When the ADX is underneath 20, imagine that you are beginning to make a pot of coffee. When you make a pot of coffee, right, when you put the water into the coffee maker and all that kind of stuff, the water typically starts out cold and the coffee hasn't been brewed yet. Would you agree with me, chat? Do you guys agree with me on that? I just want to make sure that all of you guys follow this concept with me. But when the ADX is below 20, right, I like to compare it to the idea of you beginning to start boiling a cup of coffee, right? You start brewing your cup of coffee when the ADX is underneath 20. Now, as that ADX begins to rise, when it breaks above 20, that is similar to your coffee starting to get warmer. Now, how many of you guys like to just drink warm, blah coffee? Probably not a lot of you guys, right? A lot of you guys don't really like making just mediocre, sort of warm coffee, right? A lot of you guys love hot coffee, right? We all like hot coffee. So when you see the ADX begin to rise, and the ADX then begins to rise above 20, that is very similar to the water for your coffee beginning to heat up. Okay? And then as you begin to see the ADX rise above 25, that is now your coffee beginning to boil. That is your water beginning to boil to actually make hot coffee, right? Imagine it like the little whistle on the fucking thing, right? Right? You have now made hot coffee when the ADX rises above 25. And everybody likes a good cup of hot coffee, right? So if you guys like hot coffee, wouldn't that mean that when the ADX rises above 25, that you should be making your cup of bullish or bearish coffee? Isn't that right? So then if we open up the DMIs and we see that as our coffee is boiling, right? Our coffee's boiling, it's really hot, and the DMI negative is fucking way up there. Shouldn't we, right here, then begin to make our bearish pot of coffee? Should we not, on that orange vertical line, begin to brew our bearish hot cup of coffee? Well, let's see what happens. If we open up Visa's chart and we started boiling up that coffee, boy, we made a pretty good decision. Right? We made a pretty good decision because then this stock ended up dropping 6%. 6%. Right? Now, back onto the little analogy, right? Back to the little analogy. As the ADX begins to drop, isn't the coffee still hot? Right? Isn't the coffee still hot? I would tend to think that the coffee is still very hot. Even if the ADX is dropping like it does right here, right? Even if the ADX drops right here, is that coffee not still hot? Is that coffee not still hot? Well, I certainly think it is, right? But, right, we have to remember that the DMIs also play their role. And in this regard, We went from making a cup of very nice bearish coffee until the DMI positive crossed above the DMI negative. And when that cross happened, was the coffee still hot, chat? Let me ask the chat really quick, right here where my cursor is. Is the coffee still hot in this instance right here? Yes, I would tend to agree with you guys that the coffee is still hot right here. But if the coffee is still hot and the DMI positives have now crossed above the DMI negatives, are we now considering the idea of now making bullish hot coffee? Shouldn't we be making bullish hot coffee now? And so if you took some bullish hot coffee right here, when the ADX began to rise, telling us that the coffee's still hot, and you saw the DMI positive cross right here, and we made a cup of hot bullish coffee on that orange vertical line, look at what happened to us, chat. 13.7% move to the upside. And we didn't have to do shit other than just listen to what the DMIs and the ADX were trying to tell us. And even here, chat, let me ask you guys this. Even in this green circled area, the coffee might not be hot, but is the coffee still warm enough? Would you make coffee with this ADX and the DMI as high as it is? Yes or no? Would you guys make coffee with this warm ADX and this very hot DMI? Would you make coffee? Because I know I probably would. And if I made coffee with this, after our initial long that we took from here, well, folks, look at this. Look at it. From that initial long that we took, if we stayed through all of that warm coffee, you made an additional 2%. And that matters. Right? And then look at what happens, right? And then your ADX really starts to cool off, right? And now here's my next question for chat. Are you interested in a cup of coffee in that green circle? Yay or nay? Are you interested in a cup of coffee between those green circles? What do you think, chat? Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I probably wouldn't make coffee with it either. And during that period of time, look at the wishy-washy price action that took hold of the stock. Look at this. The price literally went up 81 cents or 0.37% from the moment the ADX went below 20 to the moment that the ADX then began to rise above 20. So I use this coffee analogy as a way to describe how this indicator works. And it's not always going to be perfect, just like any indicator, right? It's not going to be perfect, just like any other fucking indicator that exists in the world. But when you pair it in combination with your RSI, and you pair it with whatever other indicators you're using, that can be the moving averages or the Bollinger Bands or whatever it is that you're using in the moment, right? You can use all of these things, right, to help you identify and find really solid trades, right? So I think, chat, that is probably going to do it for the DMI and ADX lesson. So do you feel as though you have learned something or taken something away from this lesson that we have now done over the last 60 minutes? All right. Kalehi, I'm not sure what the ADXR is. I've never heard of that, to be honest with you. I've never heard of ADXR. You guys were asking me for the DMI indicator that I use. It's from Crypto Adrian. Now, I have my own that I created, and I'm not sure that I want to give this one away yet. But this one from Crypto Adrian right here, I do have this one. I do use this. All right, so I'm going to post it in the chat box for you guys, and then I'm also going to add it to my chart. And I'm going to add it to my chart so you guys can have all of my settings with this, because I've completely customized this thing as well. All right, I've completely customized this one as well so you guys can use these settings. So chat, go into the chat box right now and look for my comment. I just posted it in the chat box there for you guys. That's the DMI indicator that I used to use before. So go ahead and click that for me. And then here are all of my settings for that indicator. All right, so here are the first batch of the settings for that indicator. Okay, so make sure you write all this down, chat. And this video will be in the Discord for you guys later. This video will be uploaded later in the Discord. Is this indicator free? Yes, this indicator is free. Yep. This one is particularly free. Okay, and then here's the stuff. Here's the like colors and shit that I've changed it to. Okay. So here's all the stuff that I've changed it to. So you guys can copy all this down if you want to as well. What do you mean, why did you not take profits, Steven? What do you mean? All right, so that's it for that indicator there, folks. I'm just going to answer this question for Steven. What do you mean? Why did you not take profit? When the ADX went in between 20 and 25. Well, isn't the coffee still warm? Isn't the coffee still warm when the ADX is between 20 and 25? You can still have coffee. It's not going to be hot coffee, but it's going to be warm enough for you to drink. So wouldn't you still want to take a piece of advantage of that potential move? You know, like, does that make sense, Steve? So guys, this lesson will be posted in the Discord. This lesson will be posted in the Discord. Oh, my massage gun's out for delivery. Let's go. What was your super chat comment? Sorry, I missed it. I'm just opening up YouTube. Give me 1 second. I know I'll find your thing. Just FYI, Clayhe. I'm not sure what the ADXR is. My noob observation to DMI ADX is when they tighten up like Bollinger Bands and eventually cross. That's when you see the most volatile price action. I would tend to agree with that. Yeah, I think that that's a reasonable assessment. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I think that is a very reasonable assessment, good sir. Yes, Justin. Exactly. Great description of GME's price action right now on the daily time frame. Great explanation. So yes, the ADX is still very, very positive. It's currently sitting at 40, and your DMI positive is still sitting well above 25. So on the large time frames for GME, it is certainly suggestive that GME's trend is still trying to make hot coffee. And it's still trying to make bullish hot coffee. So I would definitely agree with you on that. I would also open up the weekly and I would say to you guys, look at the weekly. right? Once this loads. Look at your weekly. Your weekly is above 50. Your DMI is also above 50 on the weekly. So that right there, that typically signals that we're going to see some sort of retracement, right? Or it can signal that this stock on the weekly time frame has made one of the largest moves that it has made in 3.5 to 4 years. And that this stock, if it continues to manage to hold at these highs on the weekly time frame, it is certainly suggestive that there is an assload of bullish strength and hot coffee still on this chart. But it could ultimately suggest that perhaps GME needs to take a little bit of a breather, right? Needs to allow it to have a moment to cool down, right? The coffee is too hot. It's just too hot. And so if the coffee is too hot, we've got to let it cool down a little bit. And when that coffee cools down, then the time will be right. And you guys can see that that coffee, right, has been very hot, but the DMI positive has been cocained out. And over the last several weeks, we have seen that this DMI positive has slowly but surely found its way down, which has allowed the coffee to cool off a little bit before perhaps a secondary run will take place on GME. So this is why I've been screaming at you guys. We just need to have patience. That's it. That's just the long and the short of it, is we just need to have patience. But yes, you guys. Yes, you are already figuring it out. Now, I'm very impressed. So I'm going to end this recording, okay? So this is going to be the end of the video, 1 hour and 1 minute long. All right, so thank you guys all for tuning in there. All right, we're going to end this right here.